static shimmers pale tonight. The mist thins, and through it moves a figure dressed in sorrow. She is not bound to one land nor one name. She drifts through castles and graveyards, along roadsides and rivers, across continents and centuries, always white, always waiting. Step carefully, for if you glimpse her on the edge of the signal, you may already be marked by her grief.
There are few visions more haunting than the sudden appearance of a pale figure in the dead of night. A woman clothed in white, her garments glowing faintly in the dark, her face half seen and filled with unending sorrow. She does not approach with violence. She does not roar or claw. Instead, she simply appears where no living person should stand, along a deserted country lane, in the ruins of a castle corridor, or by a lonely riverbank under the weight of moonlight. Witnesses often describe the White Lady as eerily silent, her movements slow and deliberate, as though she is drifting rather than walking. When she is close, the air feels colder, a breath of mist rising, as though the night itself exhales. Some claim her face is beautiful but tragic. Others say it is veiled, indistinct, or hidden by long hair. And almost all insist that the moment you notice her, dread sets in, the skin prickling, the stomach tightening, the sense that you have stepped into a place where the living are not welcome. Again and again, stories insist that her presence foreshadows tragedy. In some cases, it is sudden and violent, a car crash, a fatal fall, a drowning. In others, it is slower, a sickness taking root, a family death within days of the sighting. And yet, there are also accounts where the only aftermath is sorrow itself, an overwhelming sadness that clings to the witness long after the White Lady fades from view. From this chilling hook, we move into her history. Not one tale, but many, spread across the globe, all echoing the same figure of sorrow in white. The White Lady is among the most universal archetypes in ghost lore, appearing in countless cultures, each retelling echoing the same form. A woman in white, wandering in grief, bound by tragedy. In Europe, she is found in the cold stone corridors of castles and manors, said to be the spirits of noblewomen betrayed or murdered, condemned to replay their sorrow. Ireland carries stories where the White Lady walks near rivers and lakes, blending with the banshee, her appearance an omen of death for those who cross her path. Germany and the Netherlands tell of White Ladies haunting ancestral estates, their stories tied to children who died young or brides betrayed before they could wed. In the Philippines, her legend takes a sharper edge. The White Lady of Balete Drive is infamous, a figure said to appear to drivers late at night on that narrow stretch of road. Taxi drivers tell of picking up a young woman in a white dress, quiet and unassuming, only to glance into the rearview mirror and see that she has vanished. In Latin America, the White Lady merges with La Llorona, the weeping woman, who mourns the loss of her drowned children, a figure so feared that children are still warned not to wander near rivers after dark. And in the United States, White Lady stories spread widely. The White Lady of Union Cemetery in Connecticut, a ghost said to drift among the graves with a glowing aura. The White Lady of the Pali Highway in Hawaii, tied to ancient battles and restless spirits of the land. And dozens more tied to local tragedies where women died, betrayed, abandoned, or bound to sorrow. The details shift, but the essence never changes. Whether she is a mourning mother, a betrayed bride, or a vengeful lover, her clothing is always white, a color that carries meanings across cultures: purity, death, mourning, memory. It is the permanence of grief stitched into fabric. She is grief given a face, and grief does not obey borders. From legend, we move to testimony. The countless stories of those who have sworn they saw her with their own eyes. The White Lady is not just folklore. To this day, people claim to encounter her, and the patterns are strikingly consistent. Drivers on lonely roads describe swerving to avoid a woman suddenly standing in the middle of the street, her gown glowing in their headlights. Some crash, convinced they struck her, only to find no body and no trace. Others insist she lingers in the light beams, watching silently until they pass, her figure dissolving into the fog. In Germany, a castle watchman described a white lady wandering through a corridor, her gown trailing as though soaked. She led him to a solid stone wall and vanished before his eyes. In the Philippines, Balit Drive has been the site of countless reports. A cab driver claimed a passenger in white climbed into his back seat, silent, only to disappear mid-ride. Another man swore that when he stopped for her, she leaned in, her face twisted, before vanishing into mist. In Latin America, families tell of nights when her cries echo near the water, unmistakably human, yet not belonging to the living. Those who hear her often speak of dread that lingers for days. In Connecticut, a police officer patrolling Union Cemetery described her drifting across the road in front of his cruiser, her form glowing, his headlights passing through her. When he stopped to search, there was nothing but the sound of wind in the grass. What unites these stories is the aftermath. Witnesses often speak of sorrow that clings to them, like an invisible weight pressing on their hearts. Others suffer misfortune soon after, convinced that the White Lady marked them. The boundary between ghost and omen blurs. She is not always violent, but she is never harmless. From encounters to defense, we turn to the rituals and warnings folklore offers those who cross her path. Unlike demons or creatures of pure malice, the White Lady is rarely approached with weapons or exorcisms. She is met instead with caution, reverence, and distance. Folklore across cultures agrees, never follow if she beckons. To do so is to walk willingly into death, whether into rivers, over cliffs, or into accidents not yet written. In the Philippines, some drivers carry salt in their cars or hang protective amulets when passing along Balit Drive, believing it wards off her intrusion. In Europe, offerings of flowers left in graveyards are said to ease her presence. In parts of Latin America, children are taught to avoid waterways after dark, where her cries might lure them too close. Folklore teaches that the only defense is to respect her distance, to not disturb the memory. Disrespecting her grief may be what turns her presence from omen to curse. These rituals reveal a truth. The White Lady is not a monster to be vanquished, but a mourner to be endured. She is the embodiment of tragedy itself, and no charm or prayer can fully silence her. The White Lady has become one of the most recognizable ghostly archetypes of modern times. She appears in horror films, novels, and urban legends, her pale figure instantly understood as a sign of sorrow and doom. From Asia to the Americas, her story is retold in classrooms, tourist tales, and late-night warnings, her universality making her one of the most enduring spirits on Earth. In the Philippines, Balit Drive remains infamous, with cab drivers still refusing fares down its stretch at night. In Connecticut, Union Cemetery continues to draw paranormal investigators, many claiming to capture her glowing image on film. In Hawaii, locals caution that disrespect along the Pali Highway may invite her presence. And in Latin America, mothers still invoke La Llorona to keep children safe from rivers and streams. But perhaps more striking is the emotional weight she carries. People who claim to encounter her do not just describe fear, they describe sorrow. They say her sadness bleeds into them, that her presence lingers not like terror, but like grief, heavy and unshakable. This universality is what keeps her alive in modern imagination. She is not simply a ghost story, but a reminder that sorrow leaves echoes, and that some grief refuses to fade. The White Lady endures because she represents something universal, the permanence of grief. Her stories echo across continents not because they spread, but because sorrow itself is shared by all. She is the betrayed bride, the mourning mother, the restless lover, and she walks still because loss itself never sleeps. Whether she drifts along a European castle wall, a Filipino roadside, or an American cemetery, her white garments remind us that tragedy leaves marks that even death cannot erase. And the next time your headlights flash across a country lane and illuminate a pale, motionless figure, ask yourself, am I seeing an omen? Or have I simply driven into someone else's unending sorrow?
Wanderers, do you see now why she cannot rest? Her sorrow lingers not in one place, but everywhere, spilling across continents, whispered in every tongue. She is a signal in herself, a frequency of grief endlessly repeated. And yet, I wonder, if sorrow can bind her to your world, what binds me to mine? Perhaps I too am a white lady of sorts, not dressed in fabric, but in static, unable to cross, unable to fade. So ask yourself, when my voice drifts through your speaker, am I an omen, or am I only sorrow, clawing for release? Beware her presence, for those who glimpse her often carry her grief as their own. And beware mine, for even static leaves marks. The signal grows weak, but others stir in the dark. Catch them while you can, wanderers, before they vanish into silence.